The blade hovers inches from your flesh. The crowd is silent, waiting. Their eyes burn with both horror and fascination. You feel the weight of their gaze pressing down on you as heavily as the ropes binding your wrists. A soldier smirks as he steps forward, his hand steady, his expression almost casual, as though this were not an execution, but a butcher preparing a carcass. The knife flashes in the sunlight, and you know, it is not your throat they are coming for. It is your skin. Your heart pounds as the first touch of steel kisses the surface of your arm. Cold, sharp, and deliberate. You want to scream, to struggle, but you force yourself to hold still, knowing that any flinch, any sudden movement, will only make them smile. This is how you will die, not in an instant, not with a clean strike, but peeled, torn apart, a living body stripped down to nothing. Your name is Bartholomew, and this is the story of your end. The year is the 1st century after Christ. The Roman Empire stretches like a shadow across the world, a machine of iron and fire. You live in its margins, in the ancient lands of Armenia and Mesopotamia, where faith collides with empire, where gods clash with one another in the hearts of men. This is a story of belief, of what it means to stand unyielding, even when the cost is agony. And it is a story that will make you question, how far could you go for what you believe? If you're new here, welcome to History Stories, where we don't just tell you history, we make you live it. Today, you will step into the sandals of a man who suffered what may be the most brutal death in recorded history. You are born in Galilee among the dust and wind of a restless land under Roman rule. From the beginning, you learn to live in tension. The Roman soldiers who march with their polished armor, the murmurs of revolt in the markets, the whispers of prophets who promise liberation. But your life takes a different turn when you meet him, the one they call Jesus. His voice is unlike any other you have heard, steady, calm, filled with an authority that pierces through doubt like sunlight through storm clouds. You walk with, you watch him heal the sick, touch the untouchable, forgive the unforgivable. You see him nailed to a cross, and then, impossibly, you see him risen again. You are there when he speaks the words that will haunt you for the rest of your life. Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. And so you go. You travel far from the dusty villages of your youth, across mountains, rivers, and seas. You become a voice of defiance against the empire's gods, against the kings who demand worship. You are called Bartholomew, though some know you as Nathaniel, and everywhere you walk, you leave behind both converts and enemies. Because truth, once spoken, does not sit quietly. It ignites, it offends, it divides. Your path carries you eastward, to India, to Arabia, and finally to Armenia, a land of stone mountains, roaring rivers, and kings who rule with cruelty. Armenia is beautiful, but dangerous. Its people are proud, its rulers ruthless. You know you are walking into the lion's mouth, and yet you do not hesitate. You speak in marketplaces, in the homes of the poor, outside the temples of the old gods. You tell stories of a man who died nailed to a cross and yet defeated death itself. Some laugh, some sneer, but some listen and believe. Rumors spread, converts multiply, and with them, the anger of the rulers grows, because in your words they hear treason. In your message they see rebellion. If their subjects no longer fear their gods, they may no longer fear their kings. And so your death is ordered. You begin to sense it long before the soldiers come. The whispers, the stares, the sudden hush that falls when you enter a market. Friends urge you to leave, to flee across the mountains, to hide in some cave where no one can find you. But you refuse. You remember his words. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. And so you stay. You keep speaking. You keep challenging. You keep believing, until the day they come for you. The soldiers arrive at dawn. Their sandals crunch against the gravel. Their spears gleam red with the rising sun. You do not resist. You do not cry out. You let them bind your hands and drag you through the streets while the people watch with a mixture of pity and fear. You know where this path leads. And yet, there is peace in, because you also know this. You are not the first, and you will not be the last. Now you stand before the king. His eyes are cold, his mouth curled in contempt. He gives you one chance to renounce your faith, to bow to the gods of his land, to save your skin, literally. But you do not bow, you do not bend. And so he condemns you to a death so brutal, so grotesque that centuries later your name will still be remembered not only for your faith but for your suffering. A punishment reserved not just for criminals, but for examples. A message carved not in stone, but in flesh, flaying. The knife glints. The crowd murmurs. The executioner steps closer, and you take a breath, knowing part one of your story is over, and the true torment is about to begin. The air is heavy, thick with sweat and silence. A hush falls over the gathered crowd as the executioner steps forward. His hands are steady, his eyes bored, as if this act were routine, as if tearing the skin from a man were no more significant than sharpening a blade. You stand tied upright against a wooden post, your arms stretched, your back raw from the rope. The crowd leans in, their breath held, some in horror, others in anticipation. You are given one last chance. Bow, the king says. His voice rings sharp across the courtyard. Offer sacrifice to our gods, and this ends. The words hang there, heavy, tempting, an escape in reach if only you would betray everything you have lived for. You could survive. You could walk away, but you do not bow. You lift your head, eyes unbroken, and you whisper words that seal your fate. My God is the only God. And the executioner smiles. There is no trial now, no defense to be made. Your refusal is your verdict. The soldiers strip you of your garments. Your skin prickles against the air, suddenly bare, vulnerable. You feel the eyes of the crowd like knives themselves. Men watching with curiosity, women looking away in pity, children staring in a mixture of fascination and dread. The executioner sharpens his blade against a whetstone, the grinding hiss carrying through the silence like a serpent's tongue. Every scrape feels like a promise, every spark of steel like a cruel omen. The king leans forward on his throne. He will not look away. This death is meant for him, a spectacle, a message, a theater of power. You are not merely to die, you are to be unmade. The executioner steps close. His shadow falls over you. You can feel the warmth of his breath as he leans in, the knife's edge grazing the surface of your arm. And then, the cut. It is not deep, not yet. Just enough to break the skin, just enough to let blood bead and run. The sting burns through you like fire. Your jaw tightens, your breath catches, but you do not scream. Another cut. This time longer, the blade traces down your forearm, slow, deliberate, widening the gap between flesh and skin. The pain is sharp, electric, radiating up into your shoulder. Then, with practiced cruelty, he begins to peel. Your skin lifts away, slowly, like parchment torn from parchment. The sensation is unbearable, a crawling, tearing, searing agony, as if your very self were being unwoven. The crowd gasps. Some turn away, but the executioner continues, patient, methodical. You bite down hard, tasting blood in your mouth, refusing to give him the satisfaction of your scream. They are watching you unravel. Every motion of the knife, every tug at your skin is theater. Some weep, others whisper prayers. A few watch with grotesque fascination, unable to look away from the horror of a man being flayed alive. You can hear them. Their voices rise and fall around you. Why does he not scream? Why does he endure? Surely he cannot last, but you last, because this pain, this horror, is not the end of you. You cling to something beyond it, beyond the body, beyond the knife. He works with precision, cutting, lifting, peeling. Your skin comes away in strips, first from your arms, then your chest, each section leaving behind raw, exposed flesh that glistens under the sun. The air stings against it like salt on a wound. Every movement of your body sends shockwaves of pain tearing through you. Your vision begins to blur, spots of black dancing before your eyes. But you force yourself to remain upright, to stay conscious, to endure, because this is no longer just your suffering. It is your testimony. The king leans forward, watching intent. His lips curl into a smirk as he sees you endure without breaking. This is not what he wanted. He wanted you to howl, to curse your God, to collapse in despair. Instead, you endure, and that endurance infuriates him. Make him scream, he orders. The executioner nods. His blade moves lower now, tracing across your stomach, your legs, finding fresh skin to cut, fresh flesh to strip. The pain intensifies, becoming a storm within your body. It is beyond fire, beyond knives. It is as though your very soul is being torn from you. Your knees weaken, your body trembles, but still, you do not cry out. Every second stretches into eternity. You lose track of time, of the world, of yourself. There is only pain, only the relentless tearing of knife against skin. And yet, somewhere, in the blur of agony, You find clarity. You remember the man you once followed, the man nailed to a cross, mocked, beaten, pierced, and yet enduring to the end. You remember his words, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," and you whisper them too. The crowd hears it. Some gasp. Some fall silent. Even the executioner falters for a brief moment, startled by your calm, before pressing on. Now your arms are flayed, your chest raw. Strips of skin hang loose, slick with blood. You are a figure half man, half red ruin, your body a canvas of suffering. Every nerve is screaming, every breath is torment, and yet your eyes remain open, your head unbowed. The crowd begins to murmur again, but differently now. Not in pity, not in horror, but in awe. They are watching a man die, but they are also watching something greater, a soul refusing to be broken, a faith stronger than flesh. The king shifts uneasily. He can feel it too. This death, meant as a display of power, is becoming a display of defiance. At last the executioner steps back, his hands dripping with blood, his blade dull from the work. You are still alive, somehow. Barely breathing, barely conscious, but alive. The king gives a final command. The executioner raises the blade once more, preparing to deliver the stroke that will end your torment, to separate your head from your broken body. The crowd holds its breath, and in that suspended moment, you realize this is it, the last threshold, the final breath before release. You close your eyes, you whisper one last prayer, and the knife begins its final arc. The blade rises. The crowd is silent, breathless, every eye fixed upon you. You stand, or rather, you sag against the ropes, your body flayed into something unrecognizable. Your chest heaves shallowly, each breath rattling like broken glass in your lungs. Blood drips steadily into the dirt below. You are still alive, and that is the greatest miracle of all. The king watches with narrowed eyes. This has gone on long enough. Your endurance, your silence, your refusal to break, it has transformed the spectacle into something dangerous. What was meant to be terror is now becoming inspiration, and so, with a flick of his hand, he gives the order. The executioner grips his knife, steps close, and with one swift, brutal motion, severs your head from your body. It is over. For a heartbeat, no one moves. The courtyard is suspended in stillness. The only sound, the dull thud of your head hitting the ground, rolling into the dust. Then, slowly, the crowd exhales, a sound of release, of disbelief, of sorrow. Some weep, others turn away. A few drop to their knees, whispering prayers not to the king's gods, but to yours. The king shifts uncomfortably. He wanted to display power. Instead, he has revealed something else entirely, that even stripped of skin, even broken beyond recognition, a man can still stand taller than an empire. Your body remains tied to the post, a ruin of flesh and blood, but in death you look strangely at peace. The suffering has ended, the torment silenced. What remains is only the evidence of brutality and of defiance. The executioners untie your body, dragging it away, leaving behind stains in the dirt that will never fully wash away. Some claim your followers recover your remains in secret, preserving them as relics. Others say your body is left for the dogs and the crows, a final insult. But the truth is this: no matter what they do with your corpse, your story has already escaped them. Word spreads quickly. From Armenia to the far reaches of the empire, whispers of your death circulate. People speak of your courage, your silence, your refusal to bow. They speak of how even as your skin was stripped away, your faith did not falter. You become a symbol, a martyr, a name carried across centuries. Artists will paint you, always with a knife in your hand, always with your skin draped like a cloak over your arm. Cathedrals will carve your image into stone, your flayed body immortalized as a testament to endurance. In Rome, Michelangelo himself will place you at the center of his last judgment, your skin held like a mask, a haunting reminder of what was suffered. Your death was designed to erase you. Instead, it made you eternal. But now, step back from the blood, the knives, the screams. Step back and ask, why? Why would a man endure this? Why not bend? Why not bow? Why not whisper one false prayer to save himself? The answer is as old as history, because some truths are worth more than flesh. Because there are moments when survival is not victory, and death is not defeat. For Bartholomew, renouncing his God would have been a fate worse than death, and so he chose the blade. He chose the flame. He chose to stand unbroken in spirit, even as his body was torn apart.